Welcome to Mystic Revolution, and we're going to discuss things mystical. We're going to continue with our conscious creation conversation, but first, let's take a moment and do a quick meditation. I invite you to close your eyes and just take a nice, big, deep breath in all the way down to the depth of your belly. And a big sigh release out. Just releasing any stress from the day, any extra energy, anything that might be irritating you or just in your space that you just don't want. And we're going to take another nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, let's go ahead and put down a brand new grounding cord right from our root. And if you want, you can tune into the idea of a beautiful ball of light right at the base of your spine, filling up the lower part of your torso, filling up the space between your hips, and down from that, a grounding cord or a grounding pillar, holding you safe and solid, connected to the heart of the earth. And let's go ahead and see if we can bring that cord up, bring it up through your belly, up through your upper belly, and just connect up with your own heart. So we're connecting our own hearts to the heart of the earth. And let's take another nice big deep breath into that. And now let's tune up and tune in to source energy, the heart of the sky, the heart of the universe. Envisioning a beautiful ball of light above your head, up. And let's let a nice cord of energy or a pillar of energy from that come down through the top of your head and go straight down and connect to your heart. Or if you like, you can connect your heart up, all the way up through the top of your head into that beautiful source, beautiful sun above you. And let's just lean into that connection. Envision, imagine, tune into the idea of now this lovely cord, this lovely connector of earth and sky energy holding in your heart, and knowing that you can lean into that at any time. One more big deep breath in and exhale out. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. And here we are with Wendy. Wendy, I know you have a lot of exciting things to talk to us about today.
Yes, I do.
About our capacity for creation and
Yes.
other related topics. So I hand it over to you. What's first in our agenda?
Thanks, Susana. Hi, everybody. Yes, what is our capacity for conscious creation and creative change? And we were talking before we started, we have one word for this that covers a lot of it, which is havingness. Our capacity to have, our capacity to allow in the goodness that is right here. It's kind of like I've ordered online and the delivery truck has come. Can I open the door and bring in the box? Can I open the box? Can I use it or eat it or sled down the hill on it? Can I have it in my life? Not just ask for it, but actually let it in, because all this goodness that we have is available. Can we let it in? So I know that you speak about having this, Susana. Is there anything you want to say?
Well, I love the way that you described it, and I think sometimes people, or I'll just speak for my own self, have had trouble with having this or allowing, based upon issues with self-esteem or not feeling worthy, or even disbelief that something that great or that lovely is something that I could have. So I know you're going to speak to this and how we work with that. So I'll just zip my lip for now and see what you have to
Thanks.
say.
Yes, just like many things we've talked about in the show, having this I see as an energy, a blessing. It's something that we can take off our umbrella and let the waterfalls of goodness from the universe come through us. We can take off our galoshes and let the goodness seep up from the earth into us as a vibration or a frequency or a blessing, however you want to say it.
Yes.
Just like so many things we've talked about. Um, and also it's a practice, just like many things we've talked about. It's practice. And so come to our meditations to play more with how to let in these vibrations. But if you have a practice that you can relate to what we're saying, just do it. Have fun. Just do it. And everything that we're going to say, I think this isn't 2 shows probably that I've got stuff for around this. Just utilize the tools you have, utilize the practices you have, always with what we're saying. That's the idea. And if you want more tools, if you want more practice, if you want to find out how we do it, then come play with us. And you'll I will bet that you'll get wonderful things that will support your progress and healing and change and creation.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. You take something like The Secret or something, that's kind of famous for helping people transform their lives. And what happens is, from my perspective, I mean, it's been a while now. It's been quite a while since The Secret came out and all these things and these distinctions. And from my watching, there's some real success here. Some people have really utilized some of these distinctions and gone up into having lives that they love. And other people, and this is very painful, other people are like, I did the things and nothing happened.
Yeah.
I did the things and this much happened. So in my experience, there's this great divide between those of us who can create wonderful, new, easy, and quick, and those of us who can't.
Yeah.
And that's really what I'm talking about. I want to really talk about in the next two sessions, this one and next one, is how do we bridge that divide? How do we climb the wall?
How do we climb the wall?
If we haven't been able to?
Yeah.
So when I looked at it, I mean, there's some, we can go on and on and on, and a lot of what we've already said applies to this, and a lot we're going to say, but I'm going to talk about a few major aspects.
Yes.
So I'm utilizing, there's a picture of the mountain that's usually utilized in some pictures of spiritual growth or development. There's lots of them, but I'm just going to use the picture of the mountain, and I'm going to talk about it as Mount Everest. And I'm going to talk about it like back in the day, not when you can nowadays where you can take a helicopter and just do the little bit. And back in the day when you had to really work for it. I'm using this metaphor, and I might have talked about this before, but it's so central here. I want to talk about it again. So, Suzanne, if it starts to feel redundant, just tell me. So there's this mountain, and at the top, like some people say, at the top, mystics agree. Some, at the top, but where we come to the mountain, which side do we come to? We come from the north or the south or the east? Where do we come? That tends to be an ideology, religion, an anti-religion. It could be atheist or agnostic. It could be anything, right? But we tend to come with a lot of perspective already. We come from places, and they have perspectives. And so all around this mountain, everybody's coming from a different perspective.
Yes.
And that makes a huge difference just to begin.
Yes, it does.
And it really does. And then also, we start our way up the mountain, and we get more perspective. It's just like, oh, I can see better. The oxygen is getting thinner, but I have a better view. And so we come up, depending on where we come to the mountain, we come up. And I'm using this as an example of our consciousness. Our consciousness is coming up in, sometimes I talk about grades. We're in kindergarten, we're in third grade, learning multiplication tables, sixth grade, like that. Our consciousness changes. It changes everything. It changes everything because, I'll go to I don't even know if it's a true quote from Einstein, that, no problem is solved by the consciousness that created it.
Right.
But whoever said it, our consciousness shifts and the problems of down here go away.
Yes.
And because the whole world changes, and it
Yeah.
really does. And you and I have experienced this, right? Our consciousness has shifted over time.
Yes.
And even most everybody can relate to when we were little. Oh my goodness, I understood like this. And then I got a more rational, and then I got more, right? I think most people can relate to this. Do you have anything to say about this, Susan?
Well, I think, I'm just recalling some other conversations that we had about this, and your point about as you continue on the journey, some of the things that were really troublesome for you or blockers, they just
Yes.
fall away because you're in
Yes.
a different frame of thinking, different energetic vibration, all of that. And I think that's really important to note.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So it does fall away. And I think it's important to note also that it doesn't mean our practice doesn't matter. Like, we shift conscious sometimes. Very often it's like this leap that we do. But there's a lot of little steps in that leap. We have to
Yes.
clear this and learn that and let go of this. And then all of a sudden the magic happens and we're in a new consciousness.
Yeah, or like last time we talked a little bit about like the resistance and how sometimes it gets real
Mhm.
crunchy, right? But then it opens up to that.
Yes.
So don't
Yeah.
give
So
up when it gets
don't
crunchy.
give up. Oh, yeah. It gets crunchy. That's the
Yeah,
time not to give up.
right.
And so we're always, there's two nodes that we're talking about. We're always in a particular and potentially continuously shifting capacity for creativity,
Yeah,
for creating a different world, and it's always changing. One part is our position and perspective, and that's what we're talking about in this conversation. And the next part that is next is, what are our provisioning and practices? I just want us to lay out where we're going. So the
right.
position and perspective, what I've noticed in my journey is that the farther I go along, the more I see I see it kind of like webs, how many webs of creating the life that I'm experiencing are actually mine.
Oh,
They
yeah.
happened with my family, they happened with my
Yes.
school, they happened with, the schoolyard and work and all this stuff, all these experiences. But it's just like, I'm like this and they're like that, and it's like this. There's just uncounted layers of this. And that's some of what we do when we practice letting go. But those things, they help us create our world and live in it. It's a structure, but they also keep us in the box.
Yeah.
So we get out of the box, and then there's a new box, and that's okay. But this box is assumptions and what training we have and what experience we have, and it goes
And
on and on. Like, go ahead.
yeah, what we've discussed before is like beliefs and emotions and traditions that really have nothing to do with us
Yes,
innately. They're other people's things.
yes,
Or the
yes,
structures, the institutional structures, the societal structures,
yes.
and all the
And,
stuff
and
that
and
we
there's no
get
end to it.
inundated
Like,
with.
it's like,
Yeah.
what am I used to in my family? Am I used to being the scapegoat or the star?
Yeah.
Well, that just keeps on playing
Hmm.
in my expectations and what happens. Was I raised in a farm or in the city? Was I, what was my formal and informal education and social? All this really, really affects what my limits are and how much I can
Absolutely.
have.
Hmm.
So none of this is new, but I think it's just all piled in the same place and saying, wow, like, there's a lot of this stuff. No wonder I haven't moved forward in my business or in my health. Like, oh, because I'm living in a world where the other shoe is always going to drop. How can I start to deconstruct that? How
Yeah.
can I let that transform? Oh, I'm living in this. Other people are just like, well, I'm, the first in the family and everything, one thinks I'm great, like, or whatever, and it's just like that just keeps happening. But that has its limitations too. Can we just let go of that?
Yeah, that idea that and so when people feel disheartened about feeling like I'm not manifesting right or I'm not creating right. I mean, that's not true. First of all, we are constantly creating, but to your point, there are some things and you know that can get in the way that we might not be fully conscious of, and a simple example is right if I don't feel I have worth, then the concept of making lots of money can be more challenging, right? If I don't feel like I have value. I mean,
Yes.
that's a simple thing. But when I start to realize that actually I might be able, what I offer has value, um, then my capacity for being valued and having the things that are associated with that expands.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So I can cut out pictures from the magazine and put them on the wall all day long, but can I have it?
Yeah.
Can I have it? And these are the places to look. And it's both in clearing all the garbage. It's not just garbage, though. It's how we understand the world. I mean, we have to grok the world to be able to operate in it, but then how do we then we trans transcend it, and then a new world occurs, and we learn to operate in that, and then we transcend it. That's my experience.
Yeah.
Some people don't go through those cycles, but what I found is it's only in going through those cycles that more that the that our world can actually shift, and I can have that living a dream life
Yeah.
that I couldn't have before.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
to your point about like the tools and the practice and the coming to our meditation, I mean, these are some of the things that we learn to tend to, so that some of like our soul sensibilities and some of the higher or extrasensory perceptions that help us experience the way Wendy is talking when Wendy's speaking to the different dimensions of our existence and the places where we actually can dial into, we can live in that may have been invisible to us before.
Yes. Yes. Invisible. So, and there's two parts of it. There's the what's invisible and how can we see it? How can we perceive it? And then how can we uh, choose and change?
Mhm.
And then there's also that we do that enough, and our consciousness really does jump, and
Yes.
like it really is a new world. And so these two are like an extraordinary thing that happens, I think.
Yeah.
And what is possible is increases hugely as we go up that mountain. And still, it's our values and our choices of what gets produced
Yes.
um, as we do. Um,
I think that's
so,
a really good point, and, again, we talked about this before, but if I'm creating something out of fear, I can still create, but the outcome of that would be different if I wasn't in fear.
yeah. So I wanted to. I was sitting with just a fun example of this,
Yeah.
and then we'll go to break, I think. Um, I when I was young, I saw the original The Gods Must Be Crazy movie, which, oh my gosh, I love physical comedy. So it's just, I mean, I was just rolling watching this. But really, the movie, it's about this incredible clash of culture, this clash. I mean, if you haven't seen it, whatever, but it's about this, like, these people are living in two different worlds. So everything is like, it's just, uh, the communication, or the how to understand, how to not go into jail, how to how to get yourself fed.
Just keep
Like it's just
moving. Yeah.
we don't even realize how different it is. And but but it's so different that we can kind of see it in the movie. But really, every one of us, like our siblings, have a different world they're living in. People we grew up with in our neighborhood, and the people we, our partners, people we live with for maybe dozens of years. They're living in a different world.
Yeah.
And
When I first started to get that, it's so fascinating to think about. I mean, gosh, it's a whole rabbit hole to go down to, but we're all living in a completely different reality. We think
yes,
we're living in the same reality, but we're actually not.
yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. So after break, we're going to talk a little bit more about what happens when we go up in altitude.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hey everyone, just a friendly reminder that on the first Tuesday of every month, we hold a Mystic Revolution meditation, and you're invited. Just go to our website and you'll find the link. We look forward to seeing you then.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
So, welcome back, and we are continuing our conversation around capacity to create, capacity to have, and Wendy is taking us up the mountain. So,
yes,
back to Wendy.
So as we spoke last time, I'm using the mountain analogy, and I'm saying where we come from matters, like the worldview and experiences, as well as we go up the mountain, we change our consciousness, our perspective.
Yeah.
And so this also, it's like, where am I in my soul healing, and where am I in my soul development? And there's stuff that I've cleared 100 times layers, and there's more layers. They say, self-healing is like you go through layers of onion and you cry or something. It's like, oh, another layer, and that's okay. So where am I regarding like victim consciousness? Is it happening to me, or am I happening to it?
Yeah.
And the other way to talk about this is, where am I relative to agency? Am I able to act? Am I able to be in charge of myself? Am I able to act into the world? So those are that's just the opposite sides of the same coin.
Well, that last point is so important, because, right, that your agency, your ability to act is paramount in creation, right? I'm just going to generalize and say that my perception of The Secret was that, like, if you sit there and meditate and you sort of get the feeling of havingness, like that's enough to call in the thing. And I'm not going to say
Yes.
that doesn't happen.
Yeah,
It does
can.
sometimes, but the agency to act, then actually you are being the co-creator, right?
Yes, that's the important part.
Yeah.
It's so important. It's like, really, we could do a whole show on this, but I'll just say that, like, so many are just like, well, I did a ritual, or I prayed, or I
Did a vision
whatever.
board.
I did a vision board, and then I sat here and nothing happened. And it's like, it's so important. And I'm sure we talked about this because I've been so hot on it. You need the cart and the horse. You need the cart behind the horse. You do the energy. Yes. And then you have to act. Nobody's going to feed me. I have to put the food in my own mouth and chew. Yeah. And the UPS can deliver the package, but I got to open it and use it. It's just so important. And there's so much misunderstanding. So, so more about the development of our soul consciousness, because it's, this is in some ways, the meat and potatoes of what you and I do. So some of the things that we're working on as humans is becoming more rational. And our society is working this right now, pretty hard. And working it or resisting it, but becoming even more rational. And then from there, we we could start to open to more of our inner soul information, our direct spiritual experience. And
Yes.
that's a whole level of the world opens. And then, also, am I working my body communication? Am I making a nice relationship with my body so my body can trust me and I can care for it? Because if I don't, it's just going to wear down. It's just going to, it's only going to take so much crap.
Yeah.
And also, I might have mentioned, it's a limit. Where our body relationship is a limit to how far in our consciousness we can go. And if we're not willing to take care of ourselves, we can't go above a certain level. It's very hard.
Yeah. That point is so important. I don't think enough people say it.
Yeah.
It's so important. And how we treat our bodies. I mean, especially in terms of like helping it heal. I mean, I used to think like when I had like illnesses and things going on, I had that big lump on my neck. I was like, it was very hard to not be in like, I got to get rid of this terrible thing. I got to get rid of this thing. My body is sick. There's something very, very wrong. And when I sort of started to shift and be like, oh my gosh, body, like,
I know.
you're my friend, poor thing, right? And even, I mean, my partner jokes with me, but like I had a name. I named my little lump in my neck, and like it was my friend. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but shifting that vibration and getting out of that fighting against and saying it's terrible and wrong, like changed everything, right?
Yes. And then stuff could shift.
And then stuff could shift. Yeah.
Miraculously, by the way, everyone, miraculously.
Yeah.
She healed herself. Yes.
But I know you've had that same experience so many times with different things in your life. I mean,
yeah. I mean, the obvious one was like when I learned the tools that we had. I'd been so stuck and so ill and bedridden and housebound, and I couldn't work. And then within 6 months of learning the tools and using them, I was working part-time. I 40 pounds dropped off because I could move. It's just like crazy. It's crazy.
Amazing. And we call it crazy, or we say it's a miracle, but I really think this is how we're supposed to be operating. Like we've
absolutely
just forgotten, right?
And just in case anybody thinks like I haven't arrived, like I realized today, a whole nother level of ownership around my energy and consciously creating and allowing attention that I have been ignorant of. That I was just like, oh, hello, here's a whole nother layer of taking it so that I can be even more well. And I can be more well in my body, more well in my finances, more well in how I bring things to the world. So it just doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. And I know for some people, they're like, oh my God, crap.
Yeah, but it's really good news. It's like, there's always another, beyond the hill.
It's a huge adventure. It's a huge adventure. And I mean, we talked about this though in the great work, like it's continuing the cycle of creation and destruction, like hitting a wall and then like, ooh, moving through it. Yeah.
A few other things that, are important to note is, are we in a dark night? These dark nights happen at every transition, every transition, but also there's a couple big ones that are known in the spiritual journey, mystic journey. And when we're in it, we can't, first of all, it doesn't have to be long and it doesn't have to be hard. I just make it hard. I make it long. I can't expect things to go right. Like in the dark night, things go wrong. That's what they do. Things break. I can't expect to create something and make it go good. It's not the time. They say this in astrology. It's like, oh, that's not a good time. The next day is a good time or whatever. Well, the dark night is like a shit time to try to move things forward. Things fall apart, as Pima Chodron said. Things fall apart, and that's okay because we're falling apart in the dark night. And to know that, and there's ways to look at that in the great work too. But I just wanted to say it, like, don't expect to like be able to do this, that, and the other thing tomorrow. It's too high an expectation. How about we just self-care and heal and attend to what needs attending so that we can get our ass out of the dark night and then we can create things.
Totally. And even, I mean, I think about things that, things that break and that bring grief or whatever. I mean, sometimes the self-care is just to curl up in bed and stay there for a few days or weeks,
Yeah.
or I mean,
Feel the
people are
feel.
always like, "Oh, it's terrible and there must be something wrong." I mean, when something really big breaks or really big is going on, I'm gonna say, like, allowing yourself to check out and just be and,
Yes.
binge watch rom-coms, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
is doing
Mm-hmm.
is doing something. Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of just trying to pretend it's not happening,
Yeah.
because then it's not tended to. One of the things I was trained when I was in high school is this idea that what we resist persists, but acceptance produces change. Like
Mm.
it's if I stop resisting and just accept how it is, then I can let go and allow something new to grow.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this could be the end. And next time we're going to be talking about the next part, provisioning and practices.
Oh, great. Well, I
Yeah.
can't wait for that. Thank you so much. And thank you all for being with us today. Before we close, we'll just do a little meditation out. And so, again, I invite you to close your beautiful eyes and take a nice deep breath in and exhale out. And just allow yourself to take in what resonated with you, maybe something that piqued your interest to think about or chew on for a bit, and just let the rest go away. Just let it dissolve away. And to help, we can bring out some of that source energy, that beautiful bright ball of light above. Let's let a soft shimmer of that energy come into your body. Let it fill you up so you kind of even get a picture of like being a being of light filled up with that beautiful energy. And then you can just let it keep continuing to fill you up and release as it's coming down. Let this energy come over you on the outside, like you're taking a beautiful shower of divine energy. And just ground yourself. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Mystic Revolution.
Thanks so much for playing with us. Please support Mystic Revolution by liking and sharing our show.
And sign up to get notified when new content is available. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Another creative art production by Retro Earth Studio.
Join us for our monthly Mystic Meditation on the first Tuesday of the month at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time.
Click on the link in the description to get more information and join the Mystic Revolution.
We look forward to seeing you then.